So yesterday I posted this, I scheduled my daily video in the afternoon for early in the morning. And I knew this point was going to happen. This is always the problem with starting something like this, is that when I woke up, immediately I saw that there were 0 views in the first 2 hours of the video. Now, I'm not doing this stream simply to, I'm not playing the YouTube game here. I'm not trying to become a YouTube creator or influencer of any kind. I'm doing this for a number of different reasons. I'm doing it because I want to share with the people who care about what I'm doing and how I can help them. I want to share my progress in public. I want to build in public because I think that kind of transparency is incredibly important, both to me, because it kind of keeps me honest and stops me going down rabbit holes, but it's also very valuable to you because instead of a produced kind of highly cut, like scripted YouTube video, you get the raw, this is what it's actually like to build kind of as a solopreneur, building a business with these new tools that we've got. And, you know, I just think there's not much of that out there, and it's very valuable. The problem, though, is that we're all human and we've got these brains that no matter what we tell ourselves and no matter what we do, those numbers, those evil little numbers on the videos have an impact. They create a barrier to us doing anything. Because if you feel like you're blasting stuff into the void and no one's listening, it starts to become a mental, you know, it's almost like it feels like, oh God, I've got to do this. What's the point? And I wrote an email about this to my subscribers a couple of days ago, which is, what's the point is actually the wrong question. The question is, what do I want? And what I want is to actually, there is something about sharing what you're doing in public, even if very few people are listening or watching, that does help you stay on the track. The numbers, they get you off track. You start focusing on playing, you know, like doing the algorithm game, all of that kind of stuff. I'm not doing this for that. I'm actually doing, it's like I'm playing a different game, and I want to use the platforms to play that game. Because here's the truth right now. With this new building thing that's happening, the constraints have shifted, or at least some of the constraints have shifted. What used to be a constraint was execution, actually building things. That was, you know, actually creating things was very hard, you know, in software and building products and all that kind of stuff. That is much easier now. Anyone can do it. And so that means that that constraint has shifted from execution to somewhere else, to imagination. But one constraint hasn't shifted. In fact, it's probably going to get much worse. The constraint that hasn't shifted is distribution. And I've never wanted to play the massive audience game. The kind of business that I want to build, and this doesn't make it right, it's just the kind of person I am. The kind of business I want to build is one where I engage over the long term with less, when I say less people, with a few people. I prefer deep, long-lasting relationships with my clients and customers than building massive audiences. I care about building amazing products. There's a way of thinking about the kind of builder, the kind of business owner or solopreneur that you want to be. And you know, you can think about it as being a distribution entrepreneur, one who the products and the services that you deliver are not differentiated at all. So you rely on building massive audiences. Maybe not differentiated at all. I think there needs to be some kind of differentiation. But there's another type of entrepreneur. There's another type of person who is a production entrepreneur. That's somebody who it creates highly differentiated products, which tend to be on the higher end. And they're really focused on creating the maximum value for smaller groups of people. One way of thinking about this in terms of businesses that we all know, it's like the difference between Amazon distribution and Apple production. Now, of course, Apple ended up becoming absolutely massive, but if you kind of think about it in terms of where their focus is, Apple is much more focused on the product, whereas Amazon is much more focused on distributing whatever products, right? So, of course, the analogy isn't exact. So I'm much more, just by nature, a production entrepreneur, a product entrepreneur. I like to focus on building highly unique experiences. And here's the thing. I think that where this is going, because execution is now becoming democratized and probably eventually commoditized, if we're honest, that means not only is this about to be or is becoming the age of the solopreneur who can do so much more just one person, or at least a small team entrepreneur, but also I think it's also the age of the product entrepreneur, because in a world where anyone can create anything, distribution becomes an even bigger problem, and differentiation, even because it's a race to the bottom. Distribution, it's like how much can you make, and with it's almost like an infinite wave of AI slop. Even for the distribution entrepreneurs, differentiation is going to become more important. So that means that even there, the constraint is moving towards who has got the imagination to do something different. So I woke up this morning and I knew this would happen. I knew that this was coming, but there's almost like nothing you can do. We are human beings and we have minds that we can't change how we feel about something, even though you've told yourself, I know this is going to happen. I know that the reason I'm doing this isn't to get loads of views, but you see those numbers, 0 views, and you're like, and so I actually spoke to Fable and I said, look, I knew this was coming. How am I going to keep going doing this thing, which isn't actually about growing? It's not about getting views on YouTube. If I was going to do that, I would script it. I would work on the thumbnails. I would, all of that YouTube stuff. There'd be juddery, cuts and all that kind of nonsense. That's not what this is about. This is just about me talking, right? Old-fashioned like that. And so I had a conversation with Fable, and then in the middle of this conversation, to be honest, it wasn't very helpful. so it was trying to be helpful, but it wasn't very helpful. And I suddenly remembered I'd had this thought yesterday while I was brushing my teeth. I often have to when I'm brushing my teeth. Maybe I need to brush my teeth more often. Super fresh breath. But I was like, oh, I know. I had this idea for how I could present the different videos that I'm making, the kind of my journey with this building in an entirely different way. So one of the kind of things that I'm building is this huge system of different canvases. You've seen one of them already. It's the Thoughtnado. There's a link in the description if you haven't. So that's it's a type of canvas which is a thinking tool. But these canvases do all kinds of different things. There are dashboards for me to look at, what I'm building, what's going on with the tools that I'm using and everything like that. There are canvases where I do thinking myself. There are processes I go through. There are coaching canvases. But there are also it's almost like this canvas idea, these different types of canvases. It's all part of the same system, by the way. So I will show you many more as I'm doing this, as I go along. As one of the points of this is to actually share what I'm building. But I had this idea for a different way of displaying and showing any type of content really, but specifically for video. And this fulfills, like by building this fulfills a lot of different things. For me, personally, it actually gives me a reason to make the videos which isn't focused on the number of people watching. It actually, and I think it's a valuable way of displaying the journey, because it's not a timeline, it's something else. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Yeah, and also it's almost like it takes the focus off YouTube, and it's almost like, I mean, I'm not exactly creating my own platform. I'm not trying to become a new YouTuber or anything. But what I mean is it's almost like it's creating my own place which can be a gathering point for people. So it stops me from sort of getting sucked into the YouTube creator game, which, as I keep saying, I don't want to play that game. It's just not for me at all. It's the kind of grind it's just not. I'd rather go and get a job, to be honest. Not that there's anything wrong with being a YouTube creator. It's just not for me. So it takes it away from that and starts to become about what I'm actually building. And the idea that I have is very in the imagination area, because it's presenting content in a way that I've seen it over here, but I've not seen it applied to this. And I think by creating something, because the Thought-Nado thing, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything exactly the same as that. It's very, very different to anything else that I've seen, whether you like it or not. I think that's fair to say. And so that is something that attracts the people who respond to that, because it's like, oh, I've never seen anything like this before. Similarly, this idea for how I'm going to present, how I'm going to display this vlog, these videos of me building in public, I think is something I've not seen before. I don't think I have. I mean, I've seen, anyway, I'm blithering on now. Essentially, again, it's doing this imagination thing. And for the right people, it, I think, will start to not exactly solve the distribution problem, but it will have an impact on the distribution problem. And even if it doesn't, for me, starting from essentially zero, I mean, literally today, the video I posted yesterday, 0 views in the first 2 hours. You know, it doesn't matter what I tell myself. It's like, ugh, right? But by using my imagination, how can I solve this problem for myself? How can I get engaged in the act of building in public at the same time as using my imagination to present these videos in an entirely different way and not play the platform game? Doesn't matter what you do, Substack, YouTube, Instagram, it's so tiring. That, I think, is how, as somebody coming into this kind of social media nightmarish world, that's how we can solve this problem. So, aside from this video, my next step after posting this video, after posting this video, hopefully you will be seeing this on the canvas that I'm talking about. We'll see how long it takes for me to build. But that's my challenge today, is to get an early version of this canvas up so that I'm showing these videos in a very different way than I think you will have seen before. So hopefully you're watching that video on this page. If not, there'll be a link in the show notes to the page that I'm talking about. So with that very cryptic and mysterious message, I'm going to leave it there and say onwards and upwards.